Thank you all for being here today. My name is Allison Skaberg. I'm with Consolidated Planning Group. We are a special needs financial planning firm. We're excited to be here today. We have several awesome speakers lined up for you today. And we're partnering with the ARC of Fort Bend, which many of you know as an advocacy organization. This is an organization that you can reach out to if you've got questions, you need resources, you've got questions about services that you might need or programs that might be available in the area that may serve you and your family. They're a great resource to reach out to. So thank you to the ARC for helping us put this together today. We appreciate that. So what we're going to do, so first of all, this is being recorded and all the slides and everything post-presentation, either later today or tomorrow, you will get an email with this presentation so you can go back to the slides and kind of go back and listen to anything you missed or if you have to jump off or something like that. So we did definitely want to share that with you. What we're going to do, each of our speakers, so we have five speakers today that are going to each speak of their various programs that they represent. And they're going to talk to you about who they serve and what they do and what their program's about, how long they've been around, and why they might be a fit for your child that might be looking at other options or transitioning at this point. One thing that we know from Consolidated Planning Group, when it comes to special needs planning, education and what's next, transition, it's a big buzzword. What do we do after this? After high school, after whether we stay in the public school to age 22 or we leave it at 18, is where do we go from here and what programs are going to be suitable? And then this year we've had a lot of challenges because of COVID and the way that we've changed and doing things in different programs. And so we've had to kind of look at things differently from there as well. So having said all that, again, thank you for being here. And I would like you to put all your questions in the chat box. We're going to do questions at the end, so that way everybody can get through their presentation. And we're going to get to just as many questions as we can. So thanks so much. Anna, I am going to turn it right on over to you.
Can't do it. Okay. Good morning. Can you hear me? Okay, wonderful. Hi, my name is Anna Calvo, and I am with Houston Community College, VAST Academy. VAST Academy has been around in the Houston area for about 30-something years. It was first started by Ms. Sue Maraska, who is our program director, and I have been with VAST now for 10 years. Time flies when you're having fun, is what I say. So our motto is education plus employment equals independence. And so if you can do the next slide. So who do we serve? We serve students with intellectual and developmental disabilities in the Houston area. And we are a certificate program within the workforce. And so we want our students to be ready for the workforce when they are done with our program at the end of 2 years. Also, if students choose to go on and receive, go on to an associate's or more education, we by all means promote that and want our students to do it. And so there's those two tracks. Some of our students go straight into employment when they are done, and some students go into higher learning once they are done. Next slide. So here are some of the meaningful credentials we offer within HCC VAST. So the occupational skills readiness certificate, the employment field experience, once students are done with our certificate, that is something that they can do and they can choose to do it. Office skills training, so some students want to just do the office skills, and we're finding that more and more employers now within the pandemic, they're needing more office skill people to come in and do some of their data entry and stuff like that. So it's kind of changing from what it used to be. Retail training certificate. So we do train some of our students to work in retail if that is what they choose. And the work keys career readiness credential. That is a credential that anybody at HCC can obtain. And there's a bronze, silver, and gold, and depending on the different skills that they achieve. They can take those skills and their certificates to employers and say, I have achieved a bronze, a silver, or a gold level in the certificate in this area in math or and some of the logic areas. And some workplaces love them and take it. So the next slide. In addition to offering, and being an academic place, we also have a big student life within our community. And so our students are part of our Eagles Club. And so we host ability days, we host Valentine's Day dances, we host health fairs, blood drives, things like that. We're having to be a little more creative during the pandemic and hosting some of these things virtually. And so, but our students are still able to participate with our student life and all of these events. And then finally, next. So this is my contact information and also Ms. Sumarasa's contact information if you want more information on the program. Again, we are a program that serves students with intellectual and learning disabilities between the ages of 18 and 25. And so you must be at least at a 3rd grade reading level. Thank you.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that very end at the third, what you said at the reading level?
And we require at least a 3rd grade reading comprehension level for entry.
Okay. And could you just very quickly just go ahead and tell us, so I know that you said intellectual disabilities. Do you have a lot of, high, low, moderate functioning autism? Do you have any ADHD kids, or
Yes.
do most ADHD kids, do they have, is it a like comorbidity that they have with that? I just want to have a better, clearer understanding of your population.
We do have moderate to high. We don't have very low. We have moderate to high students, and they do have ADHD. But we find that some of our ADHD students may need only maybe a year or two of our program, so that they can get acquainted with the college classes and knowing how to manage college classes, and then they go on to taking their higher learning classes with their associates and stuff like that. So we do find that our VAS Academy is a great starting place, is what I tell parents. If whatever you want to do, if you think that you may want to go to college, but you're not quite sure if college is for you, or you got a lot of support when you were in high school, then you can try VAS Academy, get acquainted with college, and see how classes are structured and stuff, and then see if it's for you. And sometimes students go, college really wasn't for me, or sometimes they go, I love it and I'm going to get more. And then our high functioning students with autism, for example, again, may need a semester because college can be a little overwhelming. And so we work on some of the behaviors and before they go take accredited classes.
And sometimes we've seen some of our families, like this is a good, like as you said, a starting place. It's a good place because a lot of the ASD brains or the ADHD brains, they're not as mature as some of their peers, and their brains aren't fully formed until they're 26. So they might need an extra year or so before they're ready to go to the next thing. So we see this as kind of a good spot in situations like that we see often. So I am moving on to Christine Price with ACC, and thanks for joining us, Christine. I'll just take it away.
problem. Thank you guys so much for putting this on and having us. My name is Christine Price. I'm with the STEPS program. STEPS stands for Skills, Training, and Education for Personal Success. You can go to the next slide. I've been with STEPS for 11 years, and I started as a teacher and then went to assistant director, and now I run the STEPS program. On average, our students are with us for about 2 years. You just heard from the VAST Academy. We are very much modeled after the VAST Academy. Mariah, our creator, I guess. I don't know what you want to call her, but the one who started our program, Mariah Lossing, she worked with Sue Marascus, who runs the VAST Academy. And so we are a 2-year program, roughly. That's on average. Some students are with us for 7 years. I have one who's been with us for 7 years, and some are just with us a couple semesters, like Anna said. So it really depends. It's very individualized for the student. We encourage all of our students to pursue education beyond us. So not just our program, but everybody, or not just our program, but go on after us. We are for 18 and older, and you have to have a documented disability. That's really our only criteria, is that they're 18 and older and have that documented disability. And we really accept all disabilities. If starting college the traditional route is not an option for you, or you're fearful of starting that route, that's what we're there for. So we work with students who have Down syndrome or autism, ADHD, things like that. But we've had some students who really just had schizophrenia, and sometimes with the onset of schizophrenia, you lose some executive functioning. And so we've had students just come to us for that. So ours is a little bit different in that way, where 18 and older and just a documented disability, and those are the only requirements. These are our STEPS classes. And so these classes, academics, computer, professionalism, administrative procedures, retail, English, math, workplace communication, career exploration, transition to work, financial planning, healthy relationships. These are classes that are taught by our STEPS instructors, who are special ed teachers. And you can get modifications and accommodations in these classes, which is a little bit different because in most college courses, you can't get modifications. A lot of our students start with us, and we can go to the next slide, and continue on to take other certificate programs at ACC. If you just take the STEPS programs, you'll get an OSA, which is an Occupational Skills Award, and you can still graduate from the STEPS program. If you want a certification, then we have different routes that we help students go through. And we have what we call pathways. And so, and we can send a booklet to, if you contact me, I can email you a booklet that tells you what classes to take for each of those. It tells you what classes of ours to start with to prepare you for the different CE continuing education certifications. And so we got paraeducator, administrative, medical office support. We've had students do welding before, floral design, you name it. These are just ones that we've had students do over and over again, so we were able to create a pathway for them. But really, any program a student is interested in, we can try to find an avenue for them. So on the credit side where they have to take the TSI, or on the continuing ed side where they don't, which these are all continuing ed certificates.
Okay.
Yes.
So the previous slide over here, do they have to take the TSI over here?
Not for our classes. For our
Okay.
classes, all they have to do is contact me and do an intake and an application with us directly.
Okay, so no TSI, and that is a deal breaker for a lot of families. We're not there yet, and the thing is one thing I just need to say, it's not just because you have a child with a disability, because neurotypical kids, the rates of people passing the TSI are not that great. So anyway, you're just not alone.
Yeah, I tell my own students or people coming into the program who want to go on to take the TSI, and they're like, well, I took the TSI and I didn't pass. And I'm like, well, neither did I. I had to take developmental writing and developmental math. I had to take 2 developmental math classes before I was up to speed, and I have my master's now. So just because you start with having to take developmental classes, no problem. The TSI is the Texas State Initiative testing for college entrance. So when you, it's kind of like the SAT or the ACT, but it's specific. If you didn't take the SAT, you can take the TSI and get into college, and it's reading, writing, and math test for entrance exam.
And most programs do require the TSI, even if you do have the ACT or the SAT. Most schools do require the TSI, and there are a lot of little study programs out there that you can buy. Some of the community colleges have them for free on their website and their portals and stuff.
Yeah, we have some at ACC. So if a student is wanting to do that, they can start with us and take the business English or business math and build up some of their skills, and we prep them. And then ACC also has their own prep courses for the TSI as well. But for our continuing education courses, all those ones listed and our classes, none of those, the TSI is required. Only when they want to go to credit side and get an associate. So, but for cert level ones, certification level ones, and OSAs, they do not need the TSI, only if you want to get an associate. So, and then even when you get to the associates, it gets kind of confusing, but sometimes you don't have to take all 3 TSIs. You might only need the math, or you might only need the writing or the reading. So let us help you with that, because it gets confusing. But funding options, the only program I know in the state of Texas that is a CTP, which is a comprehensive transition program, is Texas A&M PAFS program. So they're the only ones that I'm aware of currently that you can get financial aid from, because they have to qualify under that. I know the VAST Academy, and we are too, a lot of us are trying to get that certification so that you can get financial aid. But currently our program financial aid does not work with our program or a lot of these special programs. So you have to look at optional funding. And so there's different scholarships like Ruby's Rainbow, there's TWC, and they'll pay for classes as long as it lines up with their employment goals.
So this is what I'm being for Halloween. So I'm gonna put the arrow on my head and the arrow on
There's payment plans. We have some scholarships internally. There's also,
if I can just ask everybody to mute your lines, we're hearing about Halloween costumes. So thank you.
so the waivers are certain college courses, and most of ours do fall under this, and most college courses do fall under free. And there's all kinds of waivers, but there's deaf, blind, foster waivers, veteran. So if you fall under any of those categories, you can get also free college program. And I think that's might be the last slide.
Okay, so there we have the contact
Oh, yeah.
information
And
for
so you
Christine.
can contact either one of us, me or Kaylin.
Thank you for sharing sharing that information. We appreciate you taking the time, all of you guys, for sure, for being here today.
Can I
Okay.
make a comment real quick? So somebody just said this might be too much for our kiddos. So I want to let, that's something I hear a lot. These programs are specifically designed for people with IDD, so intellectual disabilities. I have had students who were nonverbal, still working on counting, and not reading before, and they've still come to our program and they still get something out of it. So go check out the programs first before deciding whether it's for you or not, because I've had students who think they're too low, or parents who think they're going to be too low or too high. There's no such thing with our program. We will meet them at wherever they are. So
Thank you for that, Christine.
yeah.
I appreciate it. All right, I am moving. So this is, John, is this you?
This is me. Jigna.
Okay, this is Jigna. Okay, I just wanted to make sure. Okay, so we're moving to Jigna. Thank you for being here, Jigna, and take it away.
Yes, thank you. Yes, I am Jigna Patel, and I am a program coordinator at E4 Texas at the University of Texas at Austin, and also with the Texas Center for Disability Studies. You can go to the next slide. Yep. So E4 Texas is a 3-semester kind of full-time program. We start in the summer, really intense 4-week process, and then we have a fall semester and a spring semester. It's very much employment focused, and we are working with people, students, young adults with or without disabilities. Sometimes students don't identify as people with disabilities, so we just want to make it as inclusive as we can. And we're training students to become a personal care attendant, a paraprofessional, or a child care provider. So those are our main 3 tracks that we're focused on. And you can go on to the next slide. So this year, as many of us have tried, we have gone virtual for the most part. Starting in about mid-September, we felt confident to have a few classes in person for the students that want to be in person, because our 8 students this year are rock stars and are brave and are just that eagerness to live independently was so strong, and a big reason why they chose E4. So we have 8 students living on campus at UT right now, and they're doing amazing, supporting each other, working closely with their RAs, and getting the job done, logging in when they need to, walking to class when they can, and following all the protocols that UT has in place to keep things safe. So we're really excited about them. You can go on to the next slide, and I will just quickly go back and answer some of the questions. The 3 programs that we focused on are a paraprofessional, which is a teacher assistant in the classroom. The second one is a personal care attendant. So that's helping students work with other individuals that might have intellectual and developmental disabilities in their home, or in day programs, or in nursing homes. And the third track is a child care provider, so helping adults learn how to work in a child care setting. So those are the 3 tracks. So this is when the semester will start up again. We're hoping to open up our application to start for this next upcoming cohort this November. So in about a couple of weeks, we'll have that opening up. And we'll start in summer. That will be July. We usually like to start right after July 4th. And it'll be 4 weeks, kind of at the beginning of August, the summer semester ends. In that summer semester, we're really focused on building communication skills now that we're living on campus and having roommates. Obviously, independent living skills is a huge part. How to take care and clean your space, how to set up boundaries with roommates, how to utilize public transportation. So of course, this summer things were different, and we were able to just push that summer piece to this upcoming summer. But we continue to provide those supports when students came to live on dorms this fall. So then in fall, what we really focus in on is the curriculum around that personal care attendant, the child care, and the teacher assistant roles. Students are also auditing courses at UT with professors, along with the peers that are also full-time students at UT. So that's something that we've implemented starting last year. Our program's only been around for 2 years, since 2018. So we're still new, we're still learning how to work with UT to make sure the program is integrated and accessible, and that the university knows about us, and so that we can utilize all the great facilities that UT has. And in the spring semester, students are in internships, so that we expect them to be working at least 12 hours a week in that field that they were trained on in the fall semester. So of course, we're there to provide support. We start in fall with, building our resumes, building our network, building professionalism skills. And so in spring, we're really putting that to use by going to the job site. We have staff that are job coaches, things like that. And then graduation is usually around May. We can move on to the next slide. Yep. So the qualifications for applying, very similar to everyone else: 18 and over, have a high school diploma or GED, like that intrinsic interest in helping others. They don't need to know exactly what they want to do, but as long as there's that need, desire to help humans, that's really what we're looking for. Once that application is available, one of the requirements is to fill out that application and the application fee. And then students must be able to pay for tuition and the fees from the program, either by going to someone like the Texas Workforce Commission, who have in the past 2 years approved our authorizations and to pay for tuition, and even the room and board at Dobie 2021, where the students stay. And then of course, students and their families have elected to do private pay as well.
Can you talk to us about Adobe 2021 real quick, or do you have a slide for that?
I believe so. If I snuck it in there, if you can go on to the next slide, there should be some photos.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah, this is really the best part, I think. That's why we were so excited when the students decided this year to come live at Dobie, even though of course we didn't require it. The 8 students that have joined us this year have all decided to live at Dobie, and I think that's a big contribution to their successes, their ability to live independently, their ability and eagerness to learn communication skills. So living at Dobie is great. We have a great partnership with them, as does TWC. And they really work hard at developing a sense of community within that skyscraper of a building that you can see at the bottom right corner. So you can see there's a sign for Dobie. There's a marketplace on that floor with the food court that has all types of food. And underneath that, there's a Target right there. And Dobie is really easy to spot from anywhere on campus because it's one of the only few residential skyscrapers there on campus. It's right on the drag, which is a really hip and happening spot. So like we said, we're focused on independent living. The staff at Dobie are tremendous in a sense that they work very closely with us to be trained on how to work with individuals with disabilities. They have that intrinsic motivation already to be diverse and inclusive and participate with students and encourage them to attend the events that Dobie holds. They have a gym there, they have that pool there. They have a big study room where we sometimes have supplemental classes. And they're always having different events. I think for Halloween, they had a costume contest, things like that. So they're really engaging. They're really a spot that provides that natural support that E4 wants in the community.
Can you just, so the 3 tracks, you've got 3 tracks, and I just want you to reiterate your 3 tracks. We want to know if there's job placement after this program, if that's part of this. Could you share that?
Yep. Definitely. So the 3 tracks again, the first one is a personal care attendant. So in fall, we're studying the curriculum that is helpful for understanding what that means, what that looks like, what it entails, and even doing a little bit of hands-on training. But in spring is when students are required to do 165 hours of like on-the-job training. And that is something we help provide. So we have a network of agencies that we work very closely with, including Meals on Wheels, In-Home Care, Outreach Health Services, Imagine Art. That's just to name a few, but we have agencies already that we work with and that know our students and interact with our students throughout the program. And so we will be encouraging students to identify an employer that they're interested in. We help them fill out the application if they need that assistance. We help them practice those interview skills. Really just the whole spectrum of like onboarding to getting the job, keeping it. And then when the semester ends in May, we work closely with them to develop an exit plan strategy. So if they are planning to move back to the city that they came from, we help them identify employers in that area, help them apply for jobs to get them prepared to move back home. We don't have much communication with students after they graduate, but we do our best to continue to provide supports if students are reaching out once they've graduated. But we do send them with a really intense career portfolio that has all the certifications that they've received throughout the program that's in there.
So this seems like another good program. So if you have a student that may not be completely sure or, kind of the direction that they want to go, maybe they want to work, maybe they want to go to school, but at least they could get some training, some certificates, some background so they can go to work. They will go to work and they can kind of flex from there. It's only a year program, 3 semesters. And so I hear people talking about the gap year and then it ends up being the gap 5 years. So maybe this is like a good middle ground instead of a total gap year, then, maybe this is a middle ground. Do you have a waiting list and do you guys do open houses?
Right now, because of COVID, we've had a lot of students that were planning to come this year, but have decided to wait till next year. So we have a good amount of applicants kind of ready to start up again this year. We don't have a waiting list per se, but as soon as the application opens here in a couple of weeks, I will be able to kind of identify whether or not there might be too many applicants versus the amount of space that we have. We have a pretty vigorous application process, starting with filling out the application to submitting a resume, to submitting a essay or a video or some sort of information about yourself. And then we do an interview, and then we'll do a wraparound supports kind of interview. So it is pretty intensive. And the open house, I am working right now on developing a online virtual open house. I don't have any dates yet, but when I do, I can send it your way, Allison, and you can share it with the rest of the community.
Yes, for sure.
So the certifications that our program offers is definitely a certification of completion from the Texas Center of Disability at UT Austin. We also work on getting some certifications that we know are helpful in the job market. So food handler certificate, which is helpful when you're working with children or in a nursing home facility or anything like that. So we do that one. We do CPR, AED, and first aid training. We do person-centered practices. We do food allergy training. And then the next 2 are in the child care realm, conscious discipline and CLI engage. And then for the not the paraprofessional track, but for the personal care attendant, it's the curriculum from the Center of Excellence in Aging Services and Long-Term Care, which is part of UT School of Nursing. So a lot of the certifications that we do have come from UT itself, and we've adapted and modified it. So that's our website there. That's one way you could reach us. Another way you could reach us is my email, which I'll put in the chat box.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. And again, everybody, if you joined us late, this has been recorded. It is being recorded, and you are going to get the slides of this presentation, which will have that information out there. So I am, let's see, I'm moving to John. John, are you ready for us?
Yep.
Okay,
Hi, I'm John Pierce, and I
perfect.
represent University of Texas. And we have a continuing education program that complements most of the programs that you're hearing about today. Uh, I moved to Texas in 2008. I happen to be a professor there. I normally teach the neuroscience to upper level grad students and undergrads, but I have a son with Down syndrome. So we opened the door to our program there in 2009. So for over a decade, we've been offering a whole variety of courses that many people with autism and Down syndrome and other intellectual or developmental disabilities have been kind of denied throughout their K through 12 education. My son with Down syndrome, once he was in 7th grade, they started saying, well, why don't we back off on reading and stop the science and social studies and history courses. But we changed schools, we found teachers who would work with him, and he loves it, he loves learning. And I know a lot of other people are like that too. These other programs we're hearing about today, many of them are focused appropriately on trying to set up job placement and job training skills. A university's primary purpose is to bring you to the edge of knowledge and teach you things that your family didn't necessarily even know about. So our program is a continuing education, lifelong learning program where you can take courses informally to learn about college appropriate subjects. These are the same subjects that UT Austin students are taking. So for instance, in the past, we usually teach a variety of science, arts, culture, as well as personal development classes that overlap, with some of the other programs here. So here are some examples. We have the students come use the state-of-the-art facilities with the science teaching labs. We take advantage of the expert artisans, musicians, and academics in the Austin area, and invite them in to learn about Japanese culture from dancers and musicians who come in. We try to have minimally like 3 or so experts come into class so the students can meet them. The format of the classes are each course consists of 6 classes. So it's much more informal than these other programs. We offer a whole variety of them though. So you could take just one or as many as you would like. And they start off with a half hour or so of socialization with UT students, and they continue on, and when it's on campus, we can use the facilities. Since COVID, we've moved to online. So no matter where you are, you're welcome to join us. And we're still having outside experts join us virtually. And you can move to the next slide.
Can you tell us what when you use the word informal a couple of times, can you tell us what you mean by the informal courses?
Okay, so what's happening is we're offering through our University of Texas at Austin has a continuing education program like a lot of other programs, and it's titled UT Informal Classes. One component of UT Informal Classes, it's open to the public. So every semester we offer about 6 courses. This is what we're offering this semester. Usually we're offering it through the continuing ed department called UT Informal Classes. There are no age limitations. We have 18 years and older. We have people of huge variations. Many of our students are participating in Special Olympics or other sorts of similar sorts of activities. So as long as they can come in and sit with us for minimally like 20 minutes at a time, they can work with us. So unfortunately, due to COVID, the continuing ed program's on hiatus with furloughs. So I've moved our program to be administered through a friend of mine and through Josh's theater. So we're still offering the same program with our team of expert instructors and UT students. You can see here that this semester we have courses in feminism, Broadway musicals, computer games, outdoor adventures, and then another one on makeup. So, makeup, that's a personal development course. You could learn how to take care of, your image and think about that and set yourself up for your job or volunteer work. Some of the experts we have visiting our courses, or we have game developers who are actually coming to the computer game class. We have beauticians coming to the makeup class, the outdoor adventure class. We're having a guy who was on the Lifetime channel coming today. So it's a lot of fun. The courses, we keep them small, 10 students maximum, with about 6 UT students alongside them. So this is a reverse inclusion setup, so that the people with disabilities form the majority in the class. We offer them different times of the week, usually in the evening because of transportation or timing concerns, or on Sunday afternoons. And we offered a whole new set, summer, winter, fall, spring, and summer around the year. We have some people just taking one course, some people taking all of them. And spelling, it's here. And credits, there are no credit. This is a certificate program, and it's meant to be a lifetime learning program. If you could take one of these other programs, many of them are focused for a year or 2 years. I know my child's gonna be bored after that. He's still gonna want to learn. So we set this up so that people could keep coming into this, dip in and out of it throughout the rest of their life. Can you move to the next slide?
Yes, and you did say that this is 18 and up for these courses.
18 and older, yep.
Okay, got it.
So some of the differences between, what makes our program unique is that it's developed by parents of children with IDDs. That has led to a couple interesting decisions. One of them is that we have the instructor send an email home to the student and their families to give them a fly eyes view of what's going on in the class. This gives them some context to keep the learning going on at home. We give weekly assignments and handouts to keep them engaged. And we have the UT students are really anxious to get to know and befriend the adults with IDDs. Many of these students are going on into education, science or medicine or research. And it's my last chance before they graduate to give them, change their minds about people with disabilities before they become your doctor or teacher. So it works, the program's just as well for them as for the adults with IDDs. The program's subsidized by Texas Workforce Commission, CLASS, the Down Syndrome Association of Central Texas, and Texas Association, Autism Association. You can contact me with this email below. I'd be happy to put you on our email list or answer any questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, John, for sharing that information. This is all so good. It's exciting to hear all of this and just what's out there, and that there really are options. Sometimes it's like drinking from a fire hose to learn about all of this stuff.
And the costs are $125 per course. That's it.
Super
and, again,
affordable.
Subsidized. The Autism Society of Texas, they have offered to pay $50 back if your student has autism at the completion of the course. There's scholarships available for people with Down syndrome for this and all the other programs here with Ruby's Rainbow or the Down Syndrome Association of Central Texas.
What I like about some of these programs, most of these programs are, again, it's a good place to start or dip your toe in, see how things go, where you're not like under the gun because it is for credit and you're messing up a transcript or something like that. Like it's just a good place to start and kind of see how things are going to go. So I am just loving that. Let me see. Okay, yes, we are going to be sharing the recording of this session. It'll go out either later today or tomorrow. So our last speaker, and then we'll wrap up. We'll have some questions at the end. I am excited to bring to you Sarah of the College Living Experience. This is a pretty neat program, and it's different because she's not a school. So she's going to share about her program and what they do and how they work with some of these other programs. So Sarah, thank you for being here.
Likewise, thank you so much, Allison, for organizing this event and for thinking of college living experience. I also want to quickly introduce my colleague and our Austin Program Director, Katie Strong. She and I will be each sharing a little bit about our program today. But as you can see here on the first slide, 7 locations, endless possibilities. So college living experience has been around for over 30 years. As you can see there on the map, it designates all 7 of our locations. Nashville is our most recent campus to have opened earlier this year. So we're very excited to be expanding further into the US. So, here in Austin, we serve young adults ages 18 to 26 primarily. We can take students up to age of 30 on a case-by-case basis. We're providing post-secondary wraparound supports in the domains of academic and career development, independent living skills, and social skills development. Our program is meant to be transitional. On average, our students are here, I would say 2 to 3 years, give or take a little bit, just depending on their progress. And many of the students that come to us, they struggle with those executive functioning skills. So we're really looking at their functioning level, not necessarily their diagnosis. However, many of these young adults are typically somewhere on the autism spectrum with other diagnoses such as ADD, ADHD, Asperger's, and oftentimes that we see, mental health challenges such as anxiety and depression kind of secondary to that primary autism diagnosis. So Allison, if you don't mind jumping back one slide to where it talks about our levels of support, thank you. I'll go ahead and let Katie explain further.
Thanks, Sarah. So I've been with CLE Austin for about 9 years now, a little more than that. And as Sarah mentioned, we've been around for 30 years. We started down in Florida. And when CLE first started, really what it was a psychologist who had a family friend who had a son on the autism spectrum who really needed some extra academic support after high school. And so it was literally at a kitchen table helping with academics, kind of being a tutor one-on-one. But from there, and in the 30 years plus since then, we've recognized the challenges that many of our students run into in college often have not much to do with the classroom content or the academic content that they are needing to learn. Many of our students are incredibly bright. Maybe they were in a gifted program in school prior to college. They might be considered twice exceptional because they are gifted in one way or another, and also have some kind of an exceptionality such as ASD or a learning disability or something along those lines. It's important to say too that we also have worked with students and do work with students with intellectual disabilities sometimes, all ends of the IQ spectrum, I would say, but that really what we're looking at, like Sarah said, is functioning and independent living skills and safety. So we are working on independent living skills. The students live in an apartment complex. We are in North Austin, just a block away from ACC Northridge. So that's where many of our students start their college paths, is at the community college. That's right there in walking distance. And then our center is right across the street from their apartments. So everything is there and accessible. And our goal is never to replace what is available on the college campus. Our goal is to help our students build up that college knowledge of what are those resources that are available, and who do I go to talk to for this, and why would I go talk to my professor for office hours? That sounds scary. And all of those ins and outs of accessing accommodations, all of the shifts that happen from much of that being provided for them in high school and before to now in college, that is their responsibility to be able to communicate. And while there are avenues and releases that can be signed to allow parents to help with that, it's also a time where it's natural and a part of the developmental learning process that parents really aren't as involved at that stage in college. And so helping these young adults to have an advocate that can be with them and support them in going to their advising meetings or speaking to their professors or figuring out how to recover from a poor grade or any of those things that come up in college, so that, because the tendency is that our students may not know what to do in those situations, and that may tend to lead to them just kind of shutting down, maybe hiding away, Parents might think everything's going great for most of the semester, and then we get to the end of the semester and suddenly they're not passing their class, and what happened? So CLE really aims to be that bridge of transition. Our students tend to be with us about 2 to 3 years on average, though it is individualized and it can vary. And ultimately the goal is that they are learning the skills while they're with us to be able to go on to the next step. So for some of our students, that might be transferring to a 4-year university. We had a student move up to Texas Tech, to Baylor. We've had students transfer to SCAD, Savannah College of Art and Design is our most recent transfer down to Georgia. We also have students currently who are in CLE who are attending UT. We have one who's about to graduate with software engineering degree this December. Is assuming that he gets through the 2 classes that he's doing well in right now and earns that bachelor's degree of science to earn like a 6-figure, you know, income maybe next year, and we'll be helping him with that transition too. So again, we are helping students access the resources on the college campuses that they're attending, in the communities that they're attending. We've had students go to the informal classes at UT. We've had students participate in the STEPS program at ACC, as well as taking, you know, academic credited colleges at community colleges and universities in our area. So it's our goal to just help them navigate that and slowly fade ourselves out of the picture. Essentially, the goal is to work ourselves out of a job so that students are ready to take those things on and manage more independently when they move on from us. So
I actually do have a question. So whenever I first heard about CLE, I guess I didn't fully understand like how it all worked. But from my perspective, this is kind of a good helpful adulting program of kind of helping your loved ones move to the next level without the helicopter parenting, without, you know, it's like real life. This is how it is, but you're maybe softening a blow for somebody that might not be fully ready for full on life. If we have a family, so do you ever have anybody that comes to this program that is not an ACC or they're not enrolled in any school at the time, or do you help get them ready to move to that direction?
Yeah, that's a great question. So TSI came up earlier. Sometimes we have students who get caught in the developmental loop, we say. You know, they're stuck in that TSI class, trying to pass it again and again, semester over semester. We do sometimes have students who just don't want to go to school. They're sick of school after high school or whatever the case may be. So we do have a career development track as well, where we are working on employment skills. We do a career assessment with every single student that comes through our doors. That's part of their first semester with us. And I love the assessment that we use. It's called the Greenwood assessment because it is very engaging for the student. It is not just the test and here's your results. It's the test and here's your results. And now we're going to spend this next several months digging into these results, setting up, you know, narrowing down the jobs that are the most appealing and interesting. And if I don't know what those jobs are that they're suggesting, doing the research to learn more, setting up informational interviews with professionals to learn more about the ins and outs and what they like and what they don't, doing job shadowing, doing in-community work experience. So absolutely. Sometimes what's I think really nice about CLE is that students can go through that process of exploration that does tend to be a pretty common thing for anybody in this stage of life and age period, that, you know, they may do career development for a semester or two, and that may point them to a certificate track or a degree track that is perfectly lined up with what they want to do. So then we can support them in starting that program, and then the shift happens from career development to more of a focus on academics. Or vice versa, I mentioned our student at UT. So he is finishing up there. We're going to be working with him on that next step of transition into the workforce and carrying these skills that he's been working on of what we call adulting 101, right? The just day-to-day functioning skills, getting himself taken care of. That transition from college to work is another huge transition, as we all know. So just like high school to college is a huge transition. Sometimes skills that were really solidly in place with the old routine can fall off or can get lost in those big transitions. And so our supports can help carry them through as they're kind of winding and weaving and figuring out, you know, what their path is going to be. One of my favorite graphics that we have is most people envision the path to success as just a straight line and a straight arrow. but really it's, one of these, like we're all kind of figuring it out. So CLE supports can follow the student as they're going through that process.
Katie, do you guys accept waivers or is this private pay?
Yeah, so here in Texas, we are primarily private pay, and being forthcoming, it's not an insignificant investment, but again, we are a transition program. So our goal ultimately is that students are getting these intensive supports now, that again, we're fading ourselves out of the picture over time as they're managing more independently, with the goal that then the family is not needing to provide such a high level of intensive supports through the lifespan. So it's kind of that more intense focus in the early young adult years to carry on long term. Now, if you happen to have a move to California planned anytime soon, we do have 2 centers in California and they get a significant amount of state funding there. So that's another option if you have a grandma out in California or something like that.
You mentioned
flipping to the last slide real quick, just to have contact information up, because I know we're running out of time.
Sure. You mentioned, I think you said Greenwood, I'm not sure, Greenwood assessment. So yes. if a family has a 17-year-old, for instance, senior in high school, and they're considering their options, junior or senior, and they're interested in doing this assessment, how much does it cost? Can they do this? Is that something that you guys could do that would be helpful in their journey of trying to decide what might be good for their family member?
That's a great question. So that traditionally with the CLE model, that's not something that we've done with high school students. However, we do have some referrals in the Austin area, at least, of organizations that do focus on that college planning and sort of career assessment work for high school students. So, but again, it's also, we're an individualized program. So if you have questions like that, or you're interested in learning more, we'd be happy to talk to you.
Okay, perfect. All right, so I'm going to take to questions, and then also I'm going to ask all of my speakers today if your program in particular has some assessments that could be helpful to these parents. Could you put that in the chat box so they could see that? Because I know as parents, we're always looking for that good fit. And so if any of your programs have some other tools and resources that might be helpful to some of these parents to identify that, that would be awesome. So we'll look for that. And let me just run through the questions. I got 1 o'clock, so we're going to just take a few questions. I think we've tried to answer most of them. There was a particular question, are any of you aware of any programs for someone wanting to be a vet or involved with a vet clinic or hospital?
I was going to add, we've had students in the past, the ACC has a kennel tech and a vet tech program, right? Christine, excuse me.
Yeah, we have, ACC has or continuing education, so they don't have to take the TSI, does have a vet tech program. And they also have a animal caretaker, or sometimes it's called animal husbandry, which I think is interesting, but and so that one is more like the kennel tech, where it teaches you how to take care of animals, deal with aggressive animals, bathe, clean, groom, all of that, give meds. And then the vet tech is more advanced, where you could work at a veterinary clinic and do more giving shots and meds, like and more involved. That one is
I think she froze.
Oh.
Uh-oh. All right.
I was going to add too, there's another organization in town, actually they're up in Cedar Park, so just outside of Austin, called the Austin Dog Alliance. They do training of therapy animals and things like that, but they also have had a job skills class for working with dogs specifically for individuals on the autism spectrum that we had a few students go through before. I'm not sure if they have it currently running, but that may be another one to look into.
For your kids that are still in high school, there is definitely a program through your county 4-H program. It's called the Veterinary Assistance Program. And Jerry, I forgot his last name, but he was like the head guy over at A&M forever. He wrote the curriculum for this, and I believe it's a 3-year. You can fast track it, and you can do it in 2 years. I think it's a 3-year program, and then you come out. you come out with some type of certificate. There is a volunteer component of volunteering at a local vet clinic. But it is a really phenomenal program. So if you have younger kids that are in junior high or early high school, you can still do this program. It's a really great program. And then, kind of look into the other ones for post high school if you're, looking, your child's already a senior or a junior and there's just no time in the interim. But your local 4-H office can provide information on that, and you can find that online. But it is a really, really thorough program.
Also, Allison,
Yes.
also if parents really want to take an extra step and send their student out of state to the University of Arkansas, they have a animal program for students with IDD, and it's part of the TIPSITs.
And you said that was the University of Arkansas?
Yes.
The only other vet program I know is at NC State, but I don't know about the component for people with disabilities. So I'm not sure about that, but I do know that NC State has another awesome program. So all right, well, we've gone a little bit over, and we try to stay true to time. So this has been recorded. We will get this out to everyone. I would just really like to thank each and every one of you for your contributions today to be here, because I know it was a little weird. I know that we asked you to do something weird instead of be like the feature speaker about your program. We came and asked you to just give us just a little bit, give us the tidbits on your program, and we're going to kind of go through several different programs. So thank you for really being willing to do that today. And thanks for being with us. Your contact information has been put out there to everybody. Everybody can reach out to you. And we do encourage you to reach out and kind of find out about these programs and see if it might be a fit for your family members. So thanks so much. It's been a pleasure being with you this afternoon, and we will host more events in the future. It looks like I may have one more question. Oh, we got thank yous. So thanks again, everyone. Have an awesome afternoon.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.